Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our statewide facilities monthly meeting, our Coalition for Adequate School Housing monthly meeting. Uh, my name is Alan Rising. I'm the current CASH chair, also the Business Services Administrator for Long Beach Unified School District. So I'd like to welcome everybody as I see participants are flooding into the meeting today. So again, welcome to the meeting. It's a interesting time. We're going to talk a little bit today about some of the regulatory updates and the things that are happening at the state level as we've hit this pause between two different legislative sessions. Some of the great work that's happening all around our state. For all of us in schools, as we're in the meat of our first semester, really moving towards all of the activities that we have scheduled in our toward our winter holidays and the great work that's going on. So it's a busy time in our state. Today, our agenda is fairly light. Unfortunately, with some of the activities happening up here in Sacramento, we will not have any of our state representatives here today, so we'll be missing them, but we'll definitely be looking for them to be back and giving us an update of what's happening in Sacramento in November. But your day is not wasted because we have great folks from our the CASH staff that'll be talking with us today about the work that's happening at the state, issues that are impacting the work that we do in schools, and how even you can get involved in things like our state bond and the work that we're doing with that. So again, welcome everyone to our meeting today. We have some really good updates today, so stick around and hear what we have to talk about. So with that, I'm gonna turn the screen over to Nancy Charas Espinoza, who is one of our lobbyist staff here in CASH. Oh, excuse me, I missed one here. I want to talk a little bit about some opportunities that we have. Sorry, Nancy. Some opportunities that we have, even as we go into this winter period, we continue with our educational offerings for our membership. The next offering is actually November the 2nd, so it's coming right up, just about a week or so away. This web shop will be really focused on the work that we do in our schools around athletic facilities and how we really, as we install these various different athletic facilities, that we need to prepare for how we're going to keep them up, how we're going to maintain them in the future, and some of those ramifications of some of these new very sophisticated athletic systems that we're putting in. So plan on being there. So Thursday, November the 2nd, great opportunity to learn from our CASH web shop. Secondarily, we will be hosting other web shops as we go forward, other opportunities in the very near future to engage and to provide great valuable information to our membership as we move forward. So the other quick thing I wanted to say was, if you're new to our membership meeting today, please let us know. Use the chat message. Let us know that you're here. If you have questions as we go through these presentations, please, we want to hear your questions. We want to know that you're out there. Please include the chat. But when you do that, make sure that you include all participants and panelists so that we're able to see that question, we're able to respond to that, and we'll be monitoring that throughout this presentation so we can address any of those questions. So with that, I'm not going to call up Nancy Charas Espinoza, but I am going to call up Denver Stairs, who's going to give us a quick update on our CASH facilities network and talk to us a little bit about the work that his group is doing at the federal level. So with that, Denver, come on up and tell us what's going on.
Perfect. Thank you, Alan, and welcome everybody. Exciting time. We're gearing up. This is our first trip under the CASH Federal Network, and that trip actually kicks off this weekend. So October 30th through the 1st, we'll be in Washington, D.C. Excited for that trip. We're planning meetings with a number of folks, congressional members and members of their staff, agency staff, Green Building Council, and our topics right now include ESSER waivers, audits, tax credit bond financing, school facility repair and maintenance grant funding, and federal support for school energy projects. So we are looking forward to the trip. If there's anybody that would like more information about the Cash Federal Network, maybe you couldn't make this trip, but you'd like to do it in the future, in the spring, please visit cashnet.org/CFN. So that is our update on CFN. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Denver, and the delegate of individuals that will be making the trek back to Washington, D.C. This is an important concept. You know, a lot of school districts are looking very closely at some of those funds that have been made available through our Inflation Recovery Act and other federal assets. And so it's important that we make sure that California is adequately represented as our federal lawmakers work towards creating those programs. So Denver, thank you, you and your delegate, as you go back there and continue to ensure that California is well represented. So thanks a lot. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to bring Nancy Charles-Espinosa up. I apologize for getting those mixed up, but Nancy's going to talk to us a little bit about legislative and regulatory updates that are happening up here in Sacramento.
No apologies necessary, Alan. We are nothing if not nimble. So good morning, everyone. Nancy Charles-Espinosa, one of your cash lobbyists. This is that time of year where theoretically the legislature comes up to breathe during the recess. So they are technically in interim recess, meaning the legislatures go back to their districts, focus on that type of work until they come back on January 3rd. So what we've got for you is still some more updates on legislation that was just passed and will become law very soon. And of course, the regulatory process is the gift that keeps on giving. So we have some updates for you on that. And a quick update on the bond on AB 247, SB 28. We talked about it quite a bit at the Cash Fall Conference, but for those of you who were not able to attend, the work continues a little bit at a slower pace this time during interim because, you know, the staff involved on the legislative side and the administrative side did indicate to us that they really need to either take a little bit of a break or focus on other things. For example, those on the administrative side, many of them who would be involved with the school facilities bond are also tied up working with the mental health services bond that is on the March ballot. So it's just a matter of sequencing the work. The governor has been consistent in saying that the school facilities bond is one of the three, with the third being a climate bond that he intends to work on this year for a November 24 election, since March is not an option for the school facilities bond. We continue to work on language, on solutions to address concerns that we hear from all of you and issues that legislators are raising, issues that kind of outside advocacy groups are raising. And we believe we can, craft language that will address all of that. And some of the main issues are related to climate change adaptation. So, there's a growing desire by some folks out there for electrification. There's a growing desire to address the impact of heat on students. And more folks are looking to how the bond can be part of those solutions. Also, the conversation on lead and water has an impact, and how to best address TK. So those are just some of the areas in which we continue to work. And the bond stakeholder group has taken a pause from those weekly meetings during the interim, but our expectation is that after the start of the new year, that will resume. So I will stop there with the bond and hand it over to Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Nancy. So when I saw you all at the Cash Fall Conference a couple weeks ago, I promised that I would provide an update on some contracting and procurement bills at this meeting that we weren't able to get to at the Cash Fall Conference. So I wanted to just raise a couple of bills that have moved through the legislative process and been signed by the governor, so they will take effect January 1 of 2024. The first is AB 334 Rubio. This is related to conflicts of interest and our government code 1090 issues. Cash is neutral on this bill. We did not take a formal position, and it was sponsored by the American Council of Engineering Companies of California. So what they're trying to get at is, when does a vendor's work on an earlier phase of a project disqualify them from working on a subsequent phase of work? And, think about our architects. And if you've got a master plan architect, are they prohibited from then getting project specific work if they've completed the master plan for the district? That type of issue. This is something that's overseen by the FPPC here in California, and they have been issuing guidance on this particular issue for a number of years. But what AB 334 does is it tries to codify the guidance that's been provided by the FPPC. It says that an independent contractor who performs work on one phase of a project may enter into a subsequent contract for a later phase of a project, because they are not considered an officer for the purposes of conflict of interest. So what is in play here is who really is governed by the conflict of interest rules that we have in place, and who is technically an officer for the purposes of conflict of interest. So that has been signed by the governor, and hopefully provides some clarification in that space. The second bill that I wanted to raise is AB 1121 Haney, and this is related to debarments or suspensions of contractors at the local level. So right now, the sponsors of this bill are the International Union of Operating Engineers, the California Nevada Conference. And the problem that they're trying to get at is contractors who have violated labor laws can continue to bid on public works projects, because one local agency may not know that another local agency has suspended or debarred that contractor. So we've already got information at the state level, right? If there are state level debarments, but there was a concern that there's a more patchwork approach, and that a school district may not know that a city or a county had debarred a contractor. So what AB 1121 does is it requires awarding authorities, so that would include school districts, to annually submit to DIR a list of contractors that are ineligible to bid or be awarded a public works contract pursuant to local level debarment or suspension processes. Now, DIR is not going to double check that. They're not going to review whether or not that debarment was valid. They're not going to do anything to verify or validate the information, but they are going to post it on their website. Presumably what this means, and I think that there are some wrinkles or question marks about the implementation of this, because there's not a lot of specificity in how the process will work in the statute that was just passed. But presumably what this means is that if you do debar or suspend someone locally, then you are reporting that to DIR. I don't know how a school district would know if their city or county had debarred locally, but I believe that it would be you're reporting your actions to DIR. The last bill that I want to mention is one related to the language that is used to describe ballot measures. And this is SB 798 by Senator Glazer, and it is related to how you express the cost of a local bond in your tax rate statement in the voter information guide. So this just says that rather than per $100, that tax rate will be expressed per $100,000. And technically the bill speaks to the tax rate statement. So that's that description of all of the potential fiscal impacts of a local bond measure that goes in your voter guide. And the bill does not specifically and expressly apply that also to the ballot label language. So your 75-word statement that is seen by voters on their ballot. There are some conversations about practically whether that means that you would need to apply that per $100,000 also to your ballot label, so that there's consistency in those two places. So again, this is a bill that Cash was neutral on. Lots of conversations and focus in this area of the law. As you know, we've been working for many years on the AB 195 issue. We continue to look at that and look for opportunities opportunities to make progress in that space, but did just want you to be aware of this change as you are examining your options for local bonds in 2024, since it's such a great time to go to the ballot. So with that, I will hand it over to my colleague Ian. And then if you've got any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and I can pop back on and answer them. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rebecca and Nancy. Appreciate that. I'm going to have a relatively brief update today, but I wanted to let you know myself and my colleagues gave a pretty extensive end of the year legislation summary at the fall conference just a week or so ago. But we've also done a summary of all the bills that we've tracked and taken positions on, and that was posted last week. So if you want to hear more about the bond bills, you've heard us talk about, we've heard some of the contracting bills just now, also the heat mitigation bill, the lead testing bill. Both of those failed passage, but again are really important issues. So you'd be able to access that document and learn more about the bills themselves and what positions we took on them, as well as their status. So I just wanted to point that out. Also connected to that, and I think it's been highlighted already, but CASH is doing some workshops and some trainings on some of these issues. So the next week, November 2nd, the M&O and athletic facilities, getting into many of the issues that the legislation got into. Maintenance of artificial turf, pieces like that. So we're going to dig from a practitioner's perspective a little bit more into the issues. Also, as part of that, I'll be giving an update, a policy update on these issues. Connected to that, in early December, the Cash Maintenance Network is scheduling a webinar focused even more on some of these issues, particularly the heat mitigation issue. Aside from the legislation, what could be done at M&O and facilities departments to be able to do that at a local level. So look for that. We'll certainly put out documents and marketing materials on that, but that should be a popular workshop. So look for that. The final thing is, I didn't want anyone to forget about stormwater, right? The municipal permit, the MS4, the draft permit does require or includes K-14 schools. So myself, Rebecca for community colleges, other stakeholders are working on that very complex and we think expensive permit in terms of its impact on schools. So the CASH Environmental Committee is scheduling in a week or two our first meeting to delve further into this permit. We, without getting too far into it, rather than trying to fix what we think is a bad permit proposal, is we would like to work towards proposing something new that works for, or an alternative that works for schools, something that that schools already do, where we could meet the same goals of water quality without a kind of a onerous new permit that we think just won't work and will be very expensive. So look for that. The CASH committee is working on that as well, and there'll be certainly more information on this. The plan generally is for the water board to put up a draft permit for public review in the spring of 2024. So we're doing our work now to try to get it a much better shape. But again, we don't want to go too far down a road of, as we say, fixing what we think is a inherently flawed at the moment proposal. So more to come on that, but I just didn't want anyone to forget about stormwater. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to you, Alan. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Ian, Rebecca, and Nancy for the good update. One thing that I'll encourage all of our attendees today is this is that opportunity for all of us to engage. Over this last year, we saw just a host of environmental and water quality and water safety bills that have all been that were all submitted, and many of those we were able to work with those bill authors to either bring those into a level where we could accept them, or they were vetoed by the governor as we move forward. But make no mistake, they're coming back, right? The interest of our legislature to bring these in some cases very impactful bills back to the table is going to happen. There's no doubt. So getting engaged at the local level, making sure that everyone fully understands the impact that some of these things will have to what we do in our schools is so important. So just that's my kind of plea for engagement. Get involved. Really let people know what it means when some of these things reach out and impact your district. So thank you for that, Ian. Thank you, Rebecca, Nancy, as we look forward to the start of the new calendar year, where we'll get right back into the heat of our legislative work that we do for our member districts. Okay, so with that, I think we'll jump right into the next part of our proposal, where we're going to talk a little bit about the School Energy Coalition. So Nancy's going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about all the work that's happening with the SEC.
Thank you, Ellen. School Energy Coalition has been very busy on its advocacy efforts related to NEM-A, the Net Energy Metering Aggregated Program, which was kind of a leftover, if you will, of the NEM 3.0 proceeding that was concluded, not in our favor, last year. NEM-A is a program that was designed with agriculture in mind, but really works really well for schools. A lot of schools use it. Aggregated means that you use multiple meters, right? So it is the remaining way that we can get some value financially for our solar. But there is a proposed decision at the PUC that would essentially close the door on that, make it so that our solar just doesn't really pencil out, make it so that we can't use the same financing mechanisms that we've used before. So all in all, it would be very detrimental at the worst possible time, right when our energy demand is about to soar because of this constellation of different state mandates. So most recently, the School Energy Coalition, along with some other partners, met with a representative of the governor's office, who is the point person on this issue. It was a good conversation. I think we shared some information that was new to them. And at the same time, they reiterated they are very committed to what they see as their high-level goals that they're trying to achieve with both NEM 3.0 and NEM-A. So we have been meeting directly with PUC. We have been submitting letters. And one of the things we've been spending the most time on lately is really bringing other education voices into this space. So some of the largest districts in the state have really stepped up to the plate and are participating in this, and we're very grateful to them for that. So we're going to keep up the pressure all the way until November 2nd, which is next week, when we anticipate that decision will be announced. And we hope that our education efforts have had some effect, and that they will make at least some of the changes that we have asked for, that will retain some of the financial value of the solar investments that we will now effectively be mandated to implement. So that is what I have for SEC, Alan.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, I think that this is really a very active area of what we're working in, because I remind all of our attendees that in the next coach cycle, we're going to be mandated to not only install solar for certain projects, but also battery storage for certain projects, which is really exacerbating the problem of that we don't have a lot of financial incentives to be able to do that. In fact, based on the new building code, it could be a financial loser for us to install these things for our school district, which is problematic for many of us. So this is an area that we're spending a lot of effort in to really stay very connected with the decision makers up here in Sacramento, to make sure that the impacts to our schools are properly understood. So thank you, Nancy. Thank you for the SEC work that you're doing and advocating for great energy solutions for our schools. So I don't know. Let's see. There was a chat question that came in, possibly. Let's see. Question: does AB 1033, the bill that allows, if permitted by jurisdiction, ADUs to be sold separately, provide districts stronger backup to charge developer fees on all ADUs? So perhaps that is a question for for maybe Rebecca or Ian to talk a little bit about ADUs. I know we didn't address that, but is there any kind of comment about providing backup for charging fees for ADUs?
I'll take a stab at it, Alan. I think that's an interesting angle. That's an interesting question. It definitely, I see their logic. They're saying, you know, it's further evidence that these are independent housing units, and if we're treating them in that way for these purposes, we should be consistent. So that's certainly an argument that we will add to our list of arguments for taxing these appropriately or applying the right fees.
Yeah, I think this is an area that there's at least in my individual view, area where we need to really have a lot more clarity in the concept of ADUs. Clearly, if ADUs are being sold independently as separate properties, that there's even further justification for why these are in fact independent dwelling units that would be applicable to the developer fee requirements. But these are all areas that I think that there's a lot of development that needs to happen in the interpretations in the code. There's no consistency in our state, depending on the different offices that are opining on these rules. But really, this is an area where I see that there's going to be a lot of development and possibly some additional legislation that deals with it. It's important to remember that the legislature and the governor's office have indicated that there's a strong desire to address the housing crisis in our state. There's a strong desire to not prohibit the development of additional dwelling units across the state, and so it is a bit of a heavy lift for us to really convince the legislature that we do need to charge those fees and we do need to have those abilities that remain in place. So we shall see. Don't have a lot of answers at this point, but it's an area that we continue to focus in as we move forward. So thank you, Nancy. So let's move on. We're moving quickly through our agenda here, but we'll move on. We'll call up Tom Pace, our CASH Vice Chair, to talk a little bit about the planning for the 45th Annual Conference on School Facilities.
Afternoon, Alan. How are you? Or morning, I should say. We still have a half hour.
Yeah, good morning.
So for the annual conference, I'd like to start by just thanking everyone from CASH staff, those who participated, and those who came to our fall conference, because our 44th fall conference I thought was fantastic. And I learned a lot sitting through things talking about what to do with school closure, polling. And so I thought our fall conference was fantastic. And so as we look forward to the coming year and our annual conference, you know, I'm getting very excited for the annual conference. And just want to remind everyone that the conference brochure was given to you at the fall conference. It was also emailed to you. And if you're new or lost both of those, it is on our website. The only thing hotter than Kelsey and Taylor Swift right now are the hotel rooms for the annual conference, because they sold out in 30 minutes. And we recognize the need for more hotels, and we are actively trying to get more blocks of hotels opened up. So once again, we look forward to seeing those who have hotels, and hopefully those that will get them, February 28th through March 1st in Sacramento for our annual conference. And that's our update about the annual conference.
Great. Thank you, Tom, and all the staff that are working on the new conference. And yes, I agree, coming off of a wildly successful fall conference, this is a great opportunity to come together again up here in Sacramento, February 28th, and I'll put an asterisk, 29th and March 1st. I don't know how I missed it, but I myself today was reminded that this 24 will be a leap year. So there is an extra day there, but 28th, 29th, and March 1st. So look forward to see everybody there. It'll be a great opportunity, wonderful learning opportunities and workshops. In the fairly near future, next couple months, there'll be the call for topics that'll be sent out. So all of the creative folks that are here today, start thinking up all those great workshop topics that you want to present at the annual conference, and we'll be reviewing through those and picking the most relevant topics that we present. So again, Tom, all the staff that's involved, appreciate all the hard work and look forward to a great conference in 24.
And Alan, going into a bond year, I just think, what a great way to come to Sacramento and have our voices heard and support the bond bill that will be moving forward hopefully next year. So,
Yes.
reason come support our school facilities in a year that it needs it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I know this is very early in our scheduling, but we will absolutely have representatives from the state there that'll be able to come in and talk to you about this bond bill and what's happening at the state. We always have the legislators to come in, are able to present during our workshops and during our general session. So this would be a great opportunity to connect with your legislatures right there in Sacramento, a mere feet from where they work day in and day out. And so please come on up, sign up if you haven't already done so, grab one of those hot hotel rooms. I think I'm on eBay. I think my bid is up for my hotel room is up to, no, I'm sorry. Anyways, but really look out for additional information that'll be coming out very soon on our conference. So thank you. Let's move on. We are just flying through our agenda today. There's something to be said. If we don't have our state agents up here, we can get some things done, right? Anyways, I didn't say that. So talk a little bit about our job exchange. This is an opportunity for our members to post opportunities that are happening in your district or in your firm. If you are looking for quality folks, it's an opportunity for you to look at, or if you're someone looking for a position, this is an opportunity for you to look and see what positions are available. If you're looking for quality folks, this is an opportunity for you to list your job opportunities. This is available to members. We can get that information out there. If you have an RFQ for particular services that you're looking to get a wider exposure to, take advantage of this. So, we really continue to push using that job exchange, using that opportunity to continue to advertise. Speaking for my district, quality folks are always a commodity. We're always looking to encourage and attract additional folks to come and work in our industry. So please use this opportunity to solicit for your RFQ or your job position. So take a look at that. Actually, we've come to the end of our agenda. I think this might even be a record closure here. Our next cash day is Wednesday, November the 29th. That will be a SAB meeting. So that is currently on schedule. We expect that there'll be some activity at the State Allocations Board. It'll be an opportunity for us to go meet with those board members and talk with them about the great work that they do to help support schools. And we meet up here, in this monthly meeting as well as up in Sacramento to meet with our legislators. So put that on your calendar. I'd love to see you here again on this digital membership meeting. So I think I've reached the end of our calendar. I want to take a minute and thank all of our presenters today, all of the folks that are up here in Sacramento doing some great lobbying work and working with the governor's office and the legislature to make sure that our schools are adequately represented. So thank you all for the great work. Let's see if we have any questions that are popping into the chat. And we really appreciate it. So thank you all. I'll give you the gift of time as we've reached the end of our agenda. So have a great day, be safe, and have a wonderful day.